Even out here, Michiru's bat-like sense of hearing meant talking out here was probably not a good idea. Slipping on my sandals, I went out into the garden. It was a pleasant summer's night. The piercing noises of cicadas that so greatly influenced the day had faded, leaving just a few crickets to chirp away in the extravagant garden. I wanted to enjoy this lazy calm, but there was something of greater importance. Crow, you're here, right?
そろそろ呼ばれる頃合いだと思っておった。
Crow descended with a flourish. Well, yeah, what other reasons would I have to call on you like this?
いくつか候補はあるが、言ってほしいか?
I'll pass. This was not the time to be cracking stupid jokes with Crow. I need an answer right away. Is that girl really Michiru from my past?
可能性はあるな。何事もありえないなどということはありえぬ。
Huh. I should have known. Did such a lovely angel like that really grow up to become the fallen angel I knew Michiru to be? It really must be my fault. I instantly came to my own conclusion. But still, I'd watched her growing up and maturing every step of the way. Well, worrying about the present-day Michiru was something I could do later. There was a bigger problem at hand right now. Well, if that's the case, then why did she appear? I thought the watch was supposed to turn back time by 5 minutes when it broke.
そのはずなのだが。
Crow craned her head as if to tell me she didn't care, and she calls herself the guardian of that pocket watch.
そうさな。こうは考えられぬか？お主とみちるの二人が手をつないだまま時計を壊したせいだとか。みちるの人知を超えたお主への思いが影響して普段とは異なる力が発揮されたとか。あとは思い当たらんな。
God damn it, that's not an answer. That's idle speculation. I could have come up with a guess like that on my own. It seemed to be just as great a mystery to her as anyone else.
そう言われても、我が輩はあくまでも時計に宿っておるだけで、知らぬものは知らぬ。よいか？人間などという存在がいなければ、この世に異常などというものはないのだ。
I didn't ask for a philosophy lecture here, Socrates.
そもそも時計の力と決まったわけでもなかろう？
Stop fucking with me! What the hell else would have caused this to happen?
めんどくさいの。
The useless goddess clicked her tongue at me. Whatever, I can yell at Crow some more later. Trying to confirm what exactly had happened didn't change anything about this situation. Just one more mystery to pile on. I've never heard Michiru say anything about traveling into the future. Was her memory erased or something? Well, maybe the little Michiru is from a different timeline. Who knows?
ああ、それは答えられるぞ。
Crow smugly puffed out her chest as if she was glad to actually make herself useful for once.
お主ら人間は時間を一本の線として捉えているだろうが、それがそもそもの間違いだ。時間が異なるということは、すなわち、お主らが認識している空間という概念が異なるということだぞ。過去と現在と未来というのは、上位の存在である神からすれば、直接的なつながりはない。増えている、広がっているという認識すら足りぬ。無限に拡散しながら同時に存在しておるのだ。そうでなければ、お主が5分という時間でも過去に戻れるはずがなかろう？
Huh? What are you even on about?
アホ。過去のお主が未来と一本の線でつながっていたら、時間を戻しても結果が同じになるではないか。すなわち、妹に押し倒されたお主もいれば、DD と言い名付けの約束を果たしたお主もいて、ミウと結ばれていた時間も存在しておるということだ。
Yakety 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 yak. The end. Hey, say it in my language, will ya?
あ あのミチルという小さい娘と今のミチルは同一人物だが全くの別の存在だということだ。
So what? Are you telling me she's from a parallel world? In other words, little Michiru isn't the same person as the Michiru that I knew in the past. Oh, so that's why she can see. No, maybe she's not old enough to have lost her sight. With that revelation came an even more important realization. Hey, are you trying to tell me this Michiru has been kidnapped from a different world?
そうなるな。
Now wait a minute! Am I a time-traveling kidnapper now? Her family on the other side must be worried, but that'd be me and my own family, wouldn't it? I could hardly believe what I was hearing, but if Michiru had suddenly disappeared during her childhood, surely it would have caused quite an uproar.
落ち着け。あの小さいミチルが元の世界に戻るときは、おそらく消えた時間に戻るだけだ。
Oh, we can return her home? How? I felt immense relief at that, but now the main issue was how to get her back.
時計が修復されれば、それで元通りだ。腹水が盆に戻る。
Then Crow turned her gaze to the watch in my hand.
見たところ、ごくゆっくりとだが、時計は修復されているな。
Will it be back to normal in an hour's time as usual?
この様子では、さすがに短時間では治りそうもない。数日か数週間か。まあ、年はかからずといったところだ。
That's awfully vague.
このような経験は、我が輩も初めてだからの。
You really are worthless, you know that?
何を言う。これで、ご主人ではなくさらに未来の誰かに同じことが起こったときは、事情が説明できるではないか。
She really doesn't give a shit about what I'm dealing with here, does she?
まあ、今後しばらくはいつもの力は使えぬな。あとは放っておいても、まさに時間が解決する以上、大した問題ではないであろう。あの小さなミチルと遊んで過ごせばよい。
Well, shit! I reflexively looked up at the sky. Ah, there's a lovely moon out tonight. Putting that aside, now that I understood the problem and its solution, I just needed to take care of little Michiru for a while now. Crow had said it should not be a major problem, but it was, in fact, so major a problem I felt ready to faint just thinking about it. I certainly couldn't complain about having to look after that little angel. And it wasn't like the Sabatari family couldn't afford to feed an extra mouth either. The real problem was, how was I supposed to explain all of this to everyone else in my life? Anyway, guess I'll just have to make some kind of excuse to Michiru about this. It wouldn't be a good idea to leave the odd couple of Michirus on their own for too long, so I headed back in the direction of my room.
私です。
Upon returning to my room, I found the two of them shouting at each other with surprising vigor. Now here's something you don't see every day, Chauncey. Past or present, Michiru has never been the sort to get into serious quarrels with another person. Well, this isn't another person, I guess. While I didn't know the exact reason behind all the ruckus, it certainly seemed to be a profound way of defining self-hatred. War there? Little Michiru bolted over to me, jumping into my arms, while Michiru screeched like a damsel in distress. I really wish my sister would, if at all possible, not try to be competitive with the child. Both of you, cool it! What are you both shouting like that for?
兄様からも言い聞かせてください。このお姉ちゃんがいじめるの。なんて人聞きの悪い。兄様に嘘を吹き込まないでください。嘘じゃないもん。
They weren't quite at the point of being ready to kill each other yet, but they were both in the midst of a rather fiery argument, death glares and all. As I was trying to say, what's all this about?
私がレイと遊びたいって言 言ったらね、みちるがね、ダメって言うの。当然です。兄様の一番おそばにいるべきなのは私なんですから。私だもん。私です。
Why don't you two just play with each other?
Yeah!
Talk about an impeccably timed reaction. They really are one and the same.
兄様は私と一緒にいたいですよね。レイは私と遊んでくれるよね。
Huh?
いいえ、私です。私の方が兄様を思っているのですから。違うもん。私の方がレイのこと好きだもん。私は兄様と大切なお話の最中だったのです。私もレイとお話ししたいもん。なんでしょうね、この生意気で言うことを聞かない生き物は。
I could ask the same of you. Such was the retort I made in my head. It seemed that this little Michiru also loved me unconditionally, but was this how Michiru really used to be in the past? As a child, she was still every bit the kind of person who marched to the beat of her own drum as she was now, but I had a hunch that she was much more elegant and graceful back then as well. Back then, she'd already come to terms with being a daughter of the Savatari family and was feeling the expectations that placed on her. Maybe I've just been viewing the past with rose-tinted glasses all this time?
ご主人よ、遠い目をするでない。
Crow drifted casually into the room after me. Undoubtedly, she just wanted to watch.
遠い目ですか？
I was just thinking it'd be nice if I could go back to the past right... Wait. Talking to myself with Crow again, I suddenly clued into an unexpected addendum to the conversation. I had a slight feeling of déjà vu about the situation. Don't tell me, Michiru can actually hear Crow's voice too now?
ねえねえ、レイ。その人誰？
Huh? Wait, you too? The little girl pulling on my clothes was clearly looking directly at Crow.
おや？我が輩のことか。やはり人が増えていましたか。それも可愛い女性の気配ですね。
How can you even tell she's cute if you're blind?
おや？ご主人も我が輩の愛らしさを認めたか。
I've known that right from the start, thank you.
可愛いよ。
Oh, shut up! This isn't a laughing matter. First DD and now Michiru's become aware of you too? What's going on here?
どうやら時計をお主と一緒に壊したことで大きいミチルの方も所有者として認められたようだな。ねえねえ、なんでこの人は浮いてるの？浮いている？妙な高さから声がしているとは思いましたが。
The innocent little Michiru was just curious, but the other Michiru clearly sensed there was something suspicious about Crow. That's her wild animal's intuition for you, I guess.
それで兄様、この声の方はどなたなのですか？
Oh, that's right. How could I introduce her? Explaining little Michiru's appearance was enough of a problem as things stood, but now I had an even bigger problem thrown on top of that. I had wanted to keep the pocket watch and its powers a secret from Michiru, but in order to explain such a mysterious figure as Crow to her, I guess that would be tough to avoid mentioning. Well, guess I'll just give her the same kind of explanation I gave to DD. It's not like I have any better ideas in mind. Her name is Crow, and she's the guardian spirit of this manor, though I think it'd be more accurate to say she's a Zashiki Warashi.
おい、座敷わらしって何？
While Michiru and Crow were taken aback, little Michiru's eyes were sparkling with excitement, like she couldn't wait to hear the rest. A Zashiki Warashi is a spirit who lives in an old house, and it exists to make the people who live in it happy. I suppose you could even say Crow is part of the reason for the Sawatari family's prosperity. She used to watch over our grandfather a long time ago, and now, since I am the next heir to the family fortune, she's watching over me. On the one hand, I was telling a classic white lie, but on the other hand, I wasn't saying anything blatantly untruthful.
すごいんだね。うむ。我が輩がすごいことは間違いないな。
Crow immediately started grinning from ear to ear, evidently elated at receiving a compliment like that. Looks like little Michiru accepted that explanation. Though she was just as quick as DD was to accept that explanation. Would that mean both of them are the same mental age? Not like that matters. In any case, I quickly typed out a message on my phone and held it up for Crow to read. Just play along with what I say for now.
仕方ないの。
Crow's glance shifted over to Michiru, who naturally couldn't read what I typed out. Naturally, she was still quite astonished.
兄様、座敷わらしって本気で言っているのですか？
I'm serious.
しかし。
Look, I know it might be harder for you to believe because you can't see it for yourself, but Crow really is floating.
浮いてるよ。はあ。
Of course, it was quite a big surprise to me at first too, but I can't very well deny something I can see with my own two eyes.
そうですね。まあ、兄様を信じないわけではありませんが。
Michiru paused for a moment in thought.
なるほど。最近部屋で兄様が電話するでもなく、独り言をしていたり、妙な気配がしていたのは。
That was Crow. Until now, no one could see or hear her except me. I didn't want to derail the conversation, so what happened that night with DD remained a subject to be glossed over.
常々勘の鋭い娘だと思っていたぞ。そうだったのですか。
Michiru didn't seem entirely convinced, but since her intuition had pretty much been proven correct, she seemed to accept my explanation.
それは失礼いたしました。兄様がいつもお世話になっております。気にするでない。そう大したことをしているわけではないからな。
You're not doing jack shit, actually! I didn't want to sully Crow's mood, so that thought went unvoiced.
お主らにいつまで見えるかはわからぬが、まあ、よろしく頼もう。よろしくお願いします。うむうむ。
Right, that's phase 1 complete. Now it was time to kick this explanation up to phase 2. Now, with that aside, it appears that Crow's mysterious powers are what caused this little Michiru to suddenly appear without warning.
クロさんの力?
Yep. Even I thought it was stupid, but since she'd found out about Crow now, my only option was to play things down and act like this actually was Crow's power at work. This girl is you, from the past.
これが昔の私ですか?
This thing? She's not an inanimate object. Little Michiru had become the main topic of conversation, but she didn't seem to understand what exactly we were saying at all.
私は子供の頃に未来にワープしたなどという経験はありませんが。
Well, I never said she was the exact same person as you. I told Michiru the one most important part out of everything Crow had told me earlier.
さすがにすぐには信じがたいお話ですね。
Michiru glanced downwards, wearing a skeptical look on her face.
ミチル、ちょっといいですか？なーに？あなたが私かどうか確認したいのですが、この世界で一番大好きな男性は誰ですか？なるほど。これは間違いなく私ですね。
I'm probably hardly want to talk here, but you really are a grade A moron, you know that?
何をおっしゃいますか？最も革新的な質問でしたよ。
That's not what I meant. If you really want to know if that little Michiru is you, then ask her about something you remember.
思い出。まだ目が見えていた頃ですよね。
Michiru closed her eyes and nodded a few times, as if she was mentally retracing the path of her memories.
みちるは昨日どのようなことをなさいましたか？昨日はレイと一緒に公園で遊んだよ。まあ、楽しそうですね。
Michiru smiled, as if that really was one of her own happy memories.
公園ですか。みちるは公園で迷子になったことを覚えていますか？うん、迷子になった。
Oh, that happened a few times with Michiru. When Michiru could still see, she wasn't nearly as reliant on me, so she wasn't always sticking to me like glue. As a result, she would often disappear before I even noticed she was gone.
でも迷子になってもレイがすぐ見つけてくれるんだよ。寂しくて泣いちゃってもレイが手をギュッてしてくれるとすっごく元気になるんだよ。そうでしたね。そう、懐かしいです。
Michiru nodded along.
レイ、すごいよね。兄様と私は赤い糸でつながっていますからね。
You do know I just happened to find you by sheer coincidence, right? Talking about our childhood was embarrassing for me, so I tried to downplay that particular memory.
改めて思い返すと、私の思い出は兄様とのことばかりですね。
I guess so. Michiru has made some friends of her own by now, but when she was still adjusting to her blindness, she really was beside me all the time. Michiru was a part of almost every memory I had for as far back as I could remember. So that must have been why I truly wanted to make Michiru happy. I came back to my senses when I noticed someone pulling on my sleeve. What's wrong? Oh, right. I guess this kid's Michiru then.
おかしな話ですが、みちるはみちるだよ。
Yeah, we get it. Little Michiru showed me a lovable smile when I patted her on the head.
おっきい手。
Little Michiru still didn't understand that I had become estranged from our parents. Or, since she didn't feel uneasy about where she was, maybe she knew the annex part of the house well enough already.
それにしても、過去の私を引き寄せてしまうだなんて、黒さんの力はすごいですね。
Oh, Michiru, are you really going to keep prying into that topic? While I kept trying to figure out how to deal with Michiru, Crow gave an exasperated sigh.
ま、我が輩は願いを叶える存在だからな。おそらくだが、幼い頃のお主も願ったのだろう。未来でも兄とむつまじく暮らしたいとな。次元の壁を越えるほどの思いを抱いておったと考えておくがよい。真実の愛が起こした奇跡ということですね。
That's not even what Crow said, but she sure as hell glossed that over. Thanks, Lord Crow, my goddess, my guardian angel, everybody! Almighty Crow!
それで、どうしたらこの昔の私は消えるのでしょう。
Oh, Crow said that once her powers wear off, Michiru will go back to her own time. It might take a few days or weeks.
帰った後は夢であったと思うことだろう。じゃあ、これはミチルにとってはちょっとした小旅行のようなものなんですね。
I suppose you could call it a vacation, but it's a vacation across time.
そうなんだ。
Little Michiru nodded along, seeming less nervous now that she understood the situation.
とにかくまあ、あとは勝手にしてくれ。
Evidently tired of continuing to help me out, Crow floated up through the ceiling and disappeared. 足音も障子の動く音もしていないのに気配が消えましたね。She disappeared into the ceiling.
とにかくミチルが戻ってくれるなら助かりました。
Michiru touched her ample breasts and breathed a sigh of relief. Since the girl was a younger version of herself, Michiru must have been terribly worried about such a young girl being separated from her parents.
兄さまの私への愛情が小さな私とで分割されてしまいますからね。
Hey! I never should have expected good intentions from you.
とても大事なことではありませんか。
Given the circumstances, can't you just ease up on the kid a little?
いいえ、兄様への愛を貫いてみせます。私も例のこと大好き。
Her silliness befitting of a child, little Michiru grabbed onto my legs from behind. How could someone be so adorable? I like you too, little Michiru. I responded to little Michiru's plea for attention by patting her head and combing my fingers through her hair, causing her to cheerfully rub her cheek against me. Her cat-like mannerisms warmed my heart, but it seemed my feelings were not shared by the other person in the room.
私への愛情が私に。
Don't get jealous of yourself.
自分だからこそです。ほら、離れなさい、ミチル。いやー。
Little Michiru grabbed onto me even more tightly, refusing to unhand me.
なんてことを。子供とはいえ、兄様の腰にしがみつくだなんて。手はあげないもん。
Hey, I just got done telling you two not to fight.
ですが、兄様。
Michiru's expression looked miserable. As a result of arguing with little Michiru, the original article seemed to have gained a much more childish disposition. I like you just as much, Michiru, but I need to look after little Michiru too, since she has been thrown into the situation, alright?
わかりました。じゃあ、レイはミチルがもらっていいの？ダメです。言っておきますけど、兄様は私のものですからね。
Then let me be absolutely clear about this. Like hell I am.
誰のものなの？
That pure and innocent gaze of hers made me feel just a little bit uncomfortable. Both of you, as a big brother. Michiru expressed her delight by sliding down my leg and holding onto my foot instead. Children certainly do have an amusing sense of freedom.
このメス猫は油断なりませんね。
I already told you, if you insult her, you're insulting yourself.
ちなみに、猫の発情期は7月の前後に来るらしいですよ。
I was about to ask what the hell she was even on about, but since the conversation would only get derailed further, I ignored that little comment. Never mind. There's one more thing I need to ask you, Michiru. It's really important.
私と兄様の結婚式を和風にするか洋風にするかですね。
No, that's not it.
失礼しました。最後ということは同じお墓に入るかどうかですか？
Honestly, I think you're like 7 different levels of something else.
はい、ご安心ください。兄様が先立たれましたら私もすぐに後を追いますから。
Talk about crazy in love.
重い。
When little Michiru stood up, I patted her on the head again. Until little Michiru here goes away, we'll just have to take care of her for the time being.
ああ、そうですね。
Seemingly starting to understand the situation at last, Michiru meekly agreed with me. This is just an assumption, but I think it would be a lot of trouble asking our parents if she can stay, so I'm thinking maybe we could ask the maids for help and have them keep it under wraps.
なるほど。なるほど。
You okay with that too, little Michiru?
それ、いつもと一緒だよ。
Little Michiru answered as if that was perfectly normal. Thinking about it a little more, my parents had always been so busy with their work that they weren't involved in our lives much, even when we were children. And incidentally, all the other maids working at the estate, bar DD, had a great deal of experience working with children. One could say they were experts on the subject. While it was a rather tough situation growing up, given the current state of affairs, I was glad we were able to fall back on them. Well, then the next thing we have to do is explain who little Michiru is to the mates.
座敷わらしの黒さんに連れてこられた昔の私とは信じてもらえないでしょうね。
Michiru seemed to share my own doubts. And then
いっそこの子は私と兄様の愛の結晶だと説明したらいかがでしょうか。
Hey, don't just upgrade this minefield of a situation to a nuclear war.
遅かれ早かれの話じゃないですか。
You say that like it's already happened. Does this woman ever let up for just 1 second? Fucking hell! Whatever, I was sick of arguing with her. Anyway, let's just say that our relatives had a child that looked just like you, and due to circumstances we'll be taking care of her for a while.
どんな事情ですか？
I don't care, just make up any story you like, as long as it doesn't sound fishy.
かしこまりました。無理やりというのは得意ですし、むしろ私の方で手を回しておきましょう。
Michiru grinned.
両親の期待から落ちこぼれ、視力を失ったお嬢様に、メイドの皆様はとても優しいですからね。
Oh, sure. That's right. It would be more effective if she did it.
では、明日の朝までは、みちるは私が預かります。
I'll leave it to you. Was there anything else to talk about right now? Nope. There might have been something else, but I was totally worn out from all that happened today. Not only that, but why did things end up going from Michiru pushing me down on my bed to all this madness in the first place anyway? Well, for today, I guess.
はい、ご主人様。夜はロングタイムですよ。
Ah.
あら。あら。ほう？
Noticing little Michiru, Didi cocked her head in confusion. Right, I guess I would need to explain this to Didi as well. Little Michiru had grabbed onto my leg again. As she did that, Didi's gaze drifted from her, then to me, then to the bigger Michiru.
なるほど。
Didi, this is...
つまり、ご主人様とお嬢様の隠し子ですね。よくわかりましたね。
No! You're not even close to understanding.
ですが、お嬢様にそっくりさんですし。違うよ。みちるは、例のお嫁さんだもん。お嬢様が娘だったのですか？それも捨てがたいですね。
That's not it either! They're both my sister, damn it! My scream resounded through the evening air. And so, I wound up giving Didi the same explanation I did to Michiru. What we had here was failure to communicate. Some women you just can't reach. This whole fiasco with the odd couple of Michirus got more and more complicated, and before I realized it, another hour had already gone by. I couldn't even imagine what would happen tomorrow. Regardless, it was time to call it a day and sleep.